Just unfair as hell. Her mama was killed by a monstrous clot and never woke up from a new nap. The laundry still wooden pinned to an outside line, a pound of shrimp thawing in the sink, a candy dish filled with pink, yellow, and green buttermints on the dining room table, ready for Wednesday bridge club. Her darling dad was gone a month later, walloped by a massive stroke. So tough he'd held on for almost a week before he died, barely 70, paralyzed and grimacing in a hospital bed and unable to speak. And it was impossible to sit through 2 sweltering Baptist funerals and not wonder when her day was coming, whether she was wasting her own precious time. Also, and she tried not to be hateful about it, but bless his heart, some of Joe's quirks and habits had become a pain for her, and this wasn't helping her disposition either. The charming cowboy boots she'd cottoned to back in law school now struck her as Henry County hayseed if he wore them off the farm. Naming their shaggy black puppy with a single white spot on his flank Brownie was genius. But then came Katrina and New Orleans, and Joe hit his own endless jackpot, and every freaking time, the mutt would roll over or shake hands or fetch his tennis ball, as predictable as a cuckoo clock at half-hour intervals. Joe would crucify her last nerve with the "heck of a job, Brownie" line, and yesterday, in 2010, he repeated it again, praising the dog for scratching at the kitchen door. The same slobbering ruckus every Wednesday, the pooch eager for the front yard, where he could bark and greet the garbage truck. Joe would absolutely ignite and go full Lewis, her term, after Jerry Lewis's spastic nutty professor, whenever he heard the opening riff of Black Coffee in Bed or Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes' Bad Luck. No matter how many times he'd listened to the intro, no matter how dated and old hat the songs. At work, there was the trite shave and a haircut knock, despite her begging him not to do it ever again, please. He would make her sit in his office, and he'd call the shareholders' meeting to order, and they'd vote on replacing the gutters or buying a new computer, even though it was only them, Joe and Lisa, husband and wife. They were the entire law firm. She was weary of his corny, great googly-moogly, and at the other end of the spectrum, his crass, indiscriminate use of the word fuck. Worst was his riding a motor scooter, not a motorcycle, mind you, to town in warm weather, his huge man putt-putting down Starling Avenue, an embarrassing big-ass helmet strapped underneath his chin so that he favored the Great Gazoo, the crazy cartoon alien from the Flintstones. And yeah, of course he knew the whole deal was goofy. But she was unable to convince him that even a maximum dose of self-awareness and a tongue-in-cheek penumbra can't save some choices from coming off as idiotic. To be fair about it, she realized that some of her failings had to bother him, especially how she often forgot to completely close the dresser drawers and occasionally spilled nail polish on the bathroom tile and never returned the living room phone to its base. And there were probably heaps of other irritations that he was too decent to mention. He kept things in check much better than she did. She loved him, though. She did. Loved him in the fashion, she supposed, that you love a spouse hamstrung by 2 decades of marriage. Loved him with most of the shiny paint scrubbed off, the gloss long ago weathered away, her affection down to the solid girders and nuts and bolts and sturdy welds, the steel guts of the arrangement. But she stared at the taupe grass cloth they'd selected from a ritzy 1990 sample book as they finished refurbishing what had formerly been a hometown department store in the era of perma-pressed and fancy petticoat displays. They'd not changed the walls since, and now the fragile threads and stiff, strawy weave were frayed and broken in places, especially